In today's podcast relaunch, I'm answering a self-love question from the community. How can I forgive myself for past mistakes? I'm sharing 4 ways to finally help you forgive yourself and let go. Before I get into this podcast episode, I do want to say that the act of forgiving yourself can be a very difficult and hard process for many women, including myself. We all have made missteps and mistakes in our lives. Some are easier to forgive than others, depending on the severity of the mistakes and how they affect our lives. So this may not be a process that you can completely do all on your own. Just know that there are resources out there. You may need to seek the help of a professional or someone like a religious advisor to help you completely start the healing process and letting go. Let's get started with learning what forgiveness is. And I looked this word up in the dictionary. Forgiveness means to stop feeling resentment towards someone, or in this case yourself, for a mistake. Now, a mistake is a misguided or wrong action. So it's something that you didn't intend on doing, or something you did out of being misguided or misinformed. Why is it important to forgive yourself for past mistakes? Because these feelings of resentment and anger and regret are going to turn into despair. Despair means a total and completely loss of hope. So you're completely on the dark side. It's going to cause you to spiral down into a rut, and it's going to prevent you from moving forward in your life. Because every time you try to move forward, you're going to be pulled back by these feelings of regret, these feelings of anger towards yourself. So it's really not showing any type of self-love towards yourself. So let's get into some ways that you can start forgiving yourself and letting go. Step 1 is, number 1, give yourself grace. Remember, I said that a misstep, a mistake, is an action that is misguided, right, or wrong. So you did the best you could with what you knew at the time. So you have to give yourself some grace. My story is I had to give myself some grace, and it was very difficult for me because I was in a toxic relationship for over 16 years. And it was at a very useful time in my life, mostly all of my 20s, and I didn't leave that relationship until I was 36 years old. So it was very difficult for me to forgive myself, especially when some of the signs that I know I saw and ignored, thinking it was going to get better. So I kind of failed myself. However, I had to give myself grace, knowing that I came from a very dysfunctional family, a young girl trying to look for love. This is where it kind of misguided me into. So I had to give myself grace and realize that I didn't love myself at that time. So if I didn't love myself at that time, I wasn't giving myself the best that I can give myself. And I definitely wasn't making the best choices and actions and decisions for myself. So give yourself some grace to know that you did the best that you could at the time. And you can't go backwards. You can only go forward and make better choices for this time. All right, number 2, reflect on the mindset and the habits or the thinking that you had that caused you to make these mistakes, to take these actions. So for me, it's because I had to really do some reflection and soul searching and know that I didn't love myself. I didn't take care of myself. I didn't even know what self-love meant. What it even mean to love yourself. I had to learn that process, go on that journey in way of starting my own self-love community to help and to inspire other women. However, at the time, I'm thinking, I do love myself. I love myself. I take care of myself. but I really wasn't. So I didn't have the maturity to know that that is the key piece that I was missing. And actually, that is the key piece that most of us are missing. We're not loving ourselves and not taking care of ourselves. So reflect on some thinking or some mindsets or even some habits that you have that cause you to make those mistakes or may is causing you to continue to make those mistakes, okay? Number 3. Make a plan on how you can start doing things differently today and now and not in the past. So use your past to help you decide on what actions and habits and behaviors and mindsets that you want to have going forward to make the best decisions and choices for your life, to make sure you're living your best life, being your best self, and creating the happiest life that you want and that you deserve. So make a list. What about some decisions or choices you wish you would have made? How can you make those today? How can you start doing those today? Think about the future. What decisions and choices that you can make for your future, right? Start planning ahead. So when you get there, you're not blindsided. You know, a decision and a choice and an action that I can make today that can affect my future positively in the way that I want it to go for tomorrow. And over time, you're going to start seeing the progress. You're going to start seeing the growth. It's going to take some healing. It's going to take some patience. But the more and more positive choices and actions that you take, the more confident you're going to feel in trusting yourself to make the right choices for yourself. Now, know that you're still going to make mistakes. No matter if we have all our ducks in a row, we do all our research and do our planning, that's just part of life. But the severity of it is not going to be as strong, right? It's going to be mistakes and missteps that you can bounce back from and grow from and learn from, okay? So it's not going to cause you in a place of despair or pushing you backwards. It's going to actually propel you forward. And that leads in and goes into my next step, which is number 4. Use your mistakes and your past as a catalyst for your future, right? Or inspire you to take actions now. Maybe you were a single mom. You know, maybe you were a teenage mom and you feel like you have some regret of having children so young. How can that be a catalyst to inspire you to help others? Maybe you can even inspire other young women or teenagers not to be teenage moms. So that's a whole ideal and a career that can help enrich you and also help others. You know, maybe you want to instill in your children, if they're teenagers at this point, the importance of waiting, you know, the struggles of being a teenage mom or a young mom or a single mom. So maybe you want to teach people about finances. Maybe you made some very hard and difficult finance choices in the past that has been affecting your financial future. Maybe that's an area that can be a catalyst that because you came through that, now you can use that as a catalyst to help others. So just know that our past mistakes, even though we feel like they may be negatively, they can be a catalyst and to help us grow and to help others and propel us in the future, right? So just know that it's also part of our story. There's no heroine or story without a past, right? Without a difficult path that they had to go through and triumph from over. So use that story, okay? Let's recap the ways that I shared today to help you start learning to forgive yourself for past mistakes and letting go. Number 1, give yourself grace. You only did what you were able to do at the time. Number 2, Reflect on your mindset, your thinking, and your habits that allowed you to make those mistakes in the past and may be allowing you to continue to make those mistakes. Number 3, make a plan to do things differently. Decide to start making better choices and decisions for yourself going forward. And finally, number 4, use your pain and your story and your mistakes as a catalyst to live your new life and also to inspire other women to not make the same mistakes. I hope this podcast episode helped you to start learning how to forgive yourself for past mistakes and finally letting go. If you have a self-love question, be free to leave it down in the comments. Thank you for listening to the Start Self-Love podcast for Black women. Be sure to follow and subscribe so you don't miss the next self-love episode.